Hi, Michelle Glass here. Welcome back to another of our Chapter 13 lecture series. Our topic here is looking at those structures that are important in protecting that spinal cord. So let's get started. The first, and probably most obvious for us, is that spinal cord is housed inside the vertebral foramen. And so you have the bone of the vertebral column on the outside, helping to make a very effective wall or barrier of protection. But you also have a lot of important muscle that's attached to that bone, which is also going to be important in helping to protect the spinal cord. In addition, we've already mentioned the CSF. Do you remember what that stands for? You got it. Cerebrospinal fluid. Now, we've mentioned that this is important in shock absorption, so of course that's protection, but also providing transportation for nutrients and gas and waste products, so keeping those cells alive and healthy. And then the thing we're going to talk about most in this particular video are the meninges. Meninges are membranes that are providing physical stability, shock absorption, and route for blood vessels to the outside of the spinal cord. Now, we've kind of seen this pattern before. We saw it with bone, we saw it with muscle, we're seeing it here in the nervous system. We see that our organs typically have these connective tissue layers on the outside that are making them separate structures, providing protection, providing a route for blood vessels, and physically connecting them back into the rest of the body. And so we see that the meninges are having those same kinds of jobs here that we saw with like the epimysium and perimysium, or the periosteum of the bone, those tissues. Okay, so we're back to this diagram. We've drawn this before. You can draw a smaller version this time because we're going to build to the outside. Maybe just draw a circle and say spinal cord just to simplify, or of course use your artwork in your text. Okay, so our very innermost layer of our meninges is referred to as the Pia Mater. The Pia Mater is going to be firmly anchored to the spinal cord. It's a transparent tissue, so it's only a few cells thick. It is providing the route for blood vessels. If you are working in lab and you see models of the spinal cord or models of the brain, and there are blood vessels attached, that's indicative of a Pia Mater. You can actually dissect that off and go straight to the neural tissue. Okay, the next thing that we'll see is actually a space which is formed by the Arachnoid Mater. So I've drawn here in red the Pia Mater, a space which is full of CSF, and then my purple Arachnoid Mater layer. Okay, so the subarachnoid space, it's underneath the Arachnoid Mater, is full of CSF. What does that stand for? You got it. Cerebrospinal fluid. And we know, blah, 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 nutrient, waste, gas transport, shock absorption, that's becoming routine. Remember that CSF is also located inside that central canal. So we talked about it being through the center of the spinal cord as well as on the outside, and here we see it on the outside. That purple layer is called the Arachnoid Mater. It's basically the middle layer. It is forming for us this the subarachnoid space that's housing our CSF. And then on the very outside, we have what's called the dura mater. The dura mater is our outermost meningeal layer. It's very thick, it's white, it's fibrous. If you're doing dissection, it's hard to rip or tear. It's basically one of those things that you have to cut. And in addition to providing this nice durable outer layer, it's also connecting that spinal cord into the vertebral column. So it's helping to anchor it. You have then on the outside of the spinal cord what is referred to as the epidural layer. Epi is outside upon this layer, and this is going to be this padding of areolar and adipose tissue primarily between the spinal cord and the bone. This is providing padding and shock absorption. You also have a lot of blood vessels in this particular area. And then notice you have the bone shown here in black as the border for that vertebral foramen. So the epidural layer is this padding of fat, primarily adipose tissue, between the bone of the vertebral column and that dura mater. Okay, that's it for now.